Hey YouTube, Otto here. So we're going to do another Star Citizen 3.7x bug issue balance list. I wasn't going to do one so soon, but I actually forgot a few items from the previous list, and I wasn't going to go back and redo the video because the video had already tons of stuff in it. And so this is part 2, we'll call it. And I'm just making an ongoing list of everything I've run into in 3.7. That way they can address these things. You know, I post to the forums and whatnot, and this stuff can get addressed. Okay, so yesterday, I'm out in a... You know what, I'm just going to throw this one out real quick. You see how I'm pressing F12 there, and it's turning chat on and off? Now here's the problem. Okay, see, I shut it off. I go to third person. I come back. When you do that in your ship, chat comes back on. And that's very distracting. When you press F12, chat's supposed to stay off. But it's not staying off. So that's one of the items on the list. You have to press... I find myself literally pressing F12 like hundreds of times an hour. Because it's constantly coming on and back on when I'm switching to the other views and stuff. Like if I do this here in the ship to check out, you know, what's going around me, if I'm clearing an asteroid or whatever, you know, landing it or whatever I'm doing, it's constantly coming back on. So that's one of the points. Another point is yesterday I was over in Hurston's moon aerial, and the star map, no matter how many times I went in and out of it, it would not reveal jump points. Like I could go into the star map, right? Like this here. And so for those that don't know where that's at, I was over here. Okay, right there's Hurston. For whatever reason, the planet's not showing up, but... And then Ariel is this outer ring right outside of... if I zoom in a little more, you'll see it right there. Right there's Ariel. The planets aren't showing, but there it is. So anyhow, I was over there. And so I could go into the star map like this, and I could click, let's say, maybe her L1, right? And I'd click set route, right? And that part would work. But when I would go to the ship to try to... you know, find the jump coordinate on my screen, I would not get a coordinate on my screen. In the ship I was in, what the coordinates look like is I think I was in the Freelancer Max, and I think what the coordinates look like is, you'll see like a long green line. All you have to do is follow that green line on your radar to its end, and right there will be your jump coordinate. Alright, and so I was not getting those at all. I was not getting any jump points at all. So there was no way for me to jump out because I was literally stuck. And no matter how many times I went into the map to reset the coordinates, I could not get them. Alright. Okay, what else do we have here? Let's see here, I'll just go down through the list. I was trying to hit the easier points first, but I'm getting lost in the list. Yesterday I was flying a Freelancer Max. For those that don't know, a Freelancer Max has got approximately 42,000 in its shields between its two Chamillas, shields, and I got shot at by a I got shot at by a Gladius that was carrying Arrestor 3s. I didn't think anything of it. I was like, big deal. You know, he's going to hit me with like 2 missiles that are going to do 4,200 damage apiece, because that's how much they are listed in the game files, 4,211 for an Arrestor 3. And so I keep on moving forward. I'm like, I'm going to get into the armistice zone and land, and I mean, I'll have some damage to my shields, but that's about it. The problem was that's not what's happened. The armistice, no, it wasn't the armistice zone. As soon as the arresters hit, the ship exploded. And so arrestor 3s are only doing 4,200, you know, give or take damage. And the moment they hit, a ship with 42,000 perfect shields exploded. And so there's a bug there. There's either a bug with the arrestor 3s, or there's a bug with the freelancer maxes. Maybe a shield matrix or something like that. See there, you can see the chat is back on. I didn't turn it on. Okay, and so I have to hit F12 again to shut it off. And so it's like that the entire time you're on. You're constantly shutting it off so that you can see your menus and stuff. Okay. So yeah, the ship exploded, and I was like, okay, you know, clearly there's a problem there. So there, I just took that mission, right? And you see here, I just took the ECN, and I can just jump to this. So I'm spooling. You see how it showed me the point that I was jumping to right here? It gives me a waypoint to go to. And it will do the same thing when you are creating a jump point from Quantum to jump out of a system. That's what I was not getting yesterday. And I tried dozens of times because I had a ship full of cargo. And I didn't want to have to relog and lose all my credits. And so it would not give me one. So what I ended up having to do to get out of that zone was pick a coordinate that was literally like right next door. I had to make a bunch of baby jumps in order to get out of the area because the regulars were not working. Okay, I'm getting scanned. Okay, so yeah, 2 arrestor 3s destroyed 42,000 in shields and obliterated the whole ship. So there's a problem, either in the missiles or in the ships, the freelancer max's shield matrix. Let's see here. Armistice zones. Several of the, I guess some of the rest stops and some of like Port Olisar and Grim Hex, and there's some other ones out there. They have armistice zones around them where you're like can't use your weapons and all that, which I understand. They make sense. The problem is I think that, and this is more of a critique. You know, obviously the devs will have to weigh in on this stuff and decide what they want to do, but I think the armistice zones are too small. See, there's the chat again, back on. This is as annoying as opening and shutting the the Super Hornets canopy because it keeps opening and shutting. See, this is another problem here. Like, I'm spooling the drive, right? This one actually isn't even on my list, but I need to add it to the list. I'm spooling the drive right now. I should already have a marker to be able to jump to that. And I'm not getting a marker. Okay, and so this is part of the brokenness in the quantum jumping out, is I notice this happens every single time you get interdicted. You can't jump to a point because you're not getting a marker. And so the only way to get the marker back that I've found is go into F2, clear your route, okay, and then go back over and click your point and reset the route. And then F2 to get back out, and now I'll hit B to C. Now it's spooling up. So this is another bug, another thing that needs attention and needs fixed. I'm constantly doing that as well. I have to repeatedly go into the star map and reset the route and reestablish it and then come back out and then, you know, jump to my point. Okay. So it's saying my ECN alert point is right there, but I don't think that's a valid point. It's telling me to jump through a planet. I can't jump through a planet. See, that's another problem. When it's giving you mission alerts, this should be showing up orangish right now telling me it's blocked. Okay, so you got to jump to a different point, but it's not. And so instead I have to jump to this point to get around the planet and then jump back over to the mission. So there's another issue that could get addressed. It was not on my list, but I find a lot of times you find these things when you're out here doing the stuff, you know. So that one there can get some attention. Let's see. There we are. What else do we have here? So, yeah, the armistice zones. People are getting griefed in and around the armistice zones all day, every day. It's like you can't even leave the armistice zones without getting griefed. It's very hard to test a game when you have, like, people that are standing outside some of these zones just griefing people the whole time. Now, I've personally not had a problem shy of that... shy of the Arrestor 3s my Freelancer Max got hit with and insta-explode. I didn't really worry about that with the player so much as it was a game issue that caused the ship to explode, not anything really with the player. That player was griefing around the Grim Hex Armistice Zone. As far as I could tell, he was hitting people inside and outside the Armistice Zone there. No targeting, huh? Not sure what that's about. I have no targeting. Oh, that's awesome. I have no guns either. That's even cooler. Alright. Yeah, I have no guns. That's great. Alright, so anyways, people are getting griefed outside the armistice zones, and I think, like, the people are getting shot. People that are outside the zone can target those inside the zone. That's the problem. So people can get griefed from those outside the zone. You can skirt just on the very outside edge of the armistice zone and still get missile locks and all that for those that are inside the zone. And so instead of creating law around these areas, all it does is create a one-way, I guess I want to call it like a one-way griefing sector, where those that are messing with other people, they can grief those inside the zone, but those inside the zone can't use weapons or anything. So the armistice zones need some work. I don't know if they need to be bigger or if they need to make it so that if you're in an armistice zone, you can't even be targeted. That way people aren't getting griefed while they're in armistice zones. Okay, what else we got here? Star map not displaying jump coordinates despite several tries. Yeah, I shared that. Okay, this was one. So I bought a commodity. Okay, and I was over in the Hurston area and I bought a commodity. And the problem was I went back to my ship, and when I entered and exited through the rear end of the Freelancer Max, and there was no commodity in the hold. And I was like, you know, pump the brakes, hold up. I was like, where's the commodity at? I should see boxes all over back here. And there were no boxes. And so I ran back into the trading terminal and checked on the computer if I had any commodities. And the computer showed I had commodities. And so the computer was telling me the commodity was there, but visually when you went to the ship, there was no commodity. And so I went in and out twice. I was like, man, I want to make sure my commodity's there. And so that's what I did, and it kept saying it was there. So then I flew to the sell point, and I sold the invisible commodity that was not showing up in my ship. And again, that was over in the Hurston area. I think it was off one of its moons. So that's broken. We're not getting visuals all the time with our commodity. I was flying the Super Hornet again on the ECN mission, and the controls were coming in and out. They were not working the whole time. They would work, and then they would totally stop, and the ship would just drift. And then the controls would kick back in, and I could use the ship, and then they would cut out, and the ship would just drift. And I went through this throughout the entire mission. There was nothing I could do about it. The Super Hornet, I don't know what in the world happened with it, but it is so broken right now. And it's my main starfighter, so you know, I'm using the Defender, which is, it's a good ship, minus its guns disappearing. But otherwise, yeah, the Super Hornet's controls are all messed up, coming and going, coming and going. It's the first time it's ever happened to me. It's not a problem I've ever run into again. Or since then. It's only happened that one mission, but I wanted to share it because it was something I experienced with the Super Hornet, and I know it has canopy problems, and so maybe there's something else in there that's messed up, but it's the likelihood of coming across it is just smaller. I suppose I could have done all this out there at the deck. Try it again. There we go. Okay, it's telling me I can't edit the ship. Alright, well, we'll finish this list, and we will... I don't know, sometimes these things collect the ships and put them away, and sometimes they don't. So I find it's just faster to claim the thing, because it might sit out there for 20-30 minutes. And I don't want it to sit out there that long. So, okay, we'll let that go ahead and do its thing. Okay, Super Hornet had control issues. I finished a delivery mission yesterday, and the delivery mission was taking an abnormally long time to pay the credits. Usually the moment you get the pop-up, like in the top center of your screen where it says like mission completed or objective completed or something like that, like you can hit, I'll just hit F2 real quick, and in the bottom right you can see your credit balance, right? And so I'm watching to see if that goes up, and it doesn't, and it doesn't. And it took like 1 to 2 minutes for it to finally pay me, standing there waiting for the payout. And, you know, I'm used to lag being like 5, 10, 15-second interval spikes where things slow down and stuff like that. But that was a long time to wait for the payout. And I don't know if it ever drops. I know I have done the ECNs before, not been paid. But that was a delivery mission. I just never seen it take that long to get paid before. And so, you know, I don't know if maybe that was just a server issue or if that's actually you know, some other issue in there. You guys will have to hunt down. Oh, yeah, I already went over the pressing F12. It has to be done over and over and over again, and so that needs fixed. Oh, this is one. Ship entering exiting animation needs fixed 300i. I can open the door and click exit ship, okay, and then jump out the door and run 10 meters, and the exiting animation will insta-pull me back to the ship to exit and have me walk down the ladder and re-exit the ship, even though I already exited the ship. And so the animations are not checking. All they need to do, I think, is put a loop in there that says, you know, is the player within this area? And if they are, then do the animation. Okay, and if they're not, then cancel the animation and don't do it. But right now, that's not what's happening. What's happening is it'll snap you back to the ship and force you to exit, even though you were already out of the ship. And so that needs addressed. And this is more of a critique, something I realized when I was out and about. Any way to speed up the entering, exiting animations when entering and exiting the ships, these are likely to get someone shot in the back. 300i, Freelancer Max, Super Hornet, or ships with ladders to enter and exit. Once a player enters the animation, they are stuck and can't do anything else. An ambusher need only wait until the player uses the ladder, then pounce and get an easy kill, stealing their ship, their cargo, and possibly in the future any gear they had. So that's a problem I'm seeing right now is, like, because I'm going in and out of PvP zones doing various things, and when I'm entering and exiting my ship, when I'm using ladders, It's to me, it's one of the main flaws right now with like the 300i. You have to use a ladder. It's a main flaw with the Hornets. You have to use a ladder to get in and out of them. And will get you shot in the back. Players will wait until you click that ladder and then light you up and get an easy kill. And there's nothing you can do about it because you can't dodge. You can't, do anything to try to protect your character the moment you enter those animations. And so those animations are a critical flaw as far as player awareness and your ability to respond to a threat. And so I don't know what you guys can do with that. I know there's a lot of ships that have ladders. But right now, I got to recommend that if you have a ship like for example, the Freelancer Max has a side door you can enter on a ladder, and it has a ramp in the back. I recommend you enter in the ramp in the back so that you can enter and exit by clicking the ramp. And you have 100% ability to respond to a threat if something happens. That ladder, you do not. And so the ships with ladders right now are potentially, flawed for PvP zones because you can easily get killed. And so what I would recommend is to make those animations is obviously keep them, realistic, but make them as quick as possible so that a player is only, I want to say they're in a weakened state when they hit the animation because then they can't respond to anything. And so, keep the animations very brief, very quick, so that the character, you can get control back to the player, and that way if a threat does come, they can address it. I know the animations, they look cool. I don't mind that they take a little while when they look cool, but the moment you realize it's a potential threat on your character in PvP zones, the animation coolness goes out the window, and it's more about survival. And so the animations, got to do something with those. The 300i drops delivery boxes out of its bottom storage area. You can open the storage area from inside the ship for those that aren't familiar with it. They're really nice ships. They did a really good job on the remodel, on the rework of the 300s. I think they did. I think they look, fantastic. And I like their interiors are really nice. And so they got this, I would show you, but I upped my 300 to a Freelancer Max, so I don't have it now. But they have a storage area underneath them in the back that you can open and close from inside the ship. And it's pretty good size. You look like you could put a little golf cart or something on there, or, several little boxes. But, I put a box on there for a mission, shut it, jumped into the ship, took off, and the ship dropped the box out of the bottom of the ship. When I left, it was sitting on there fine. The ramp, or the lift was totally closed, and there was no problem. But once I got going, it lost the box. And so there's a problem with the 300 storage area dropping delivery boxes. I noticed another time when we had to do it twice. I was with another person, and we put the box on the ramp, and then I closed it. It's not a ramp, it's a lift. I closed the lift. The box fell through the lift. I was like, okay, that's not going to work. And so when the lift went up, the box didn't go with it. So I put the lift back down. We went out, we picked up the box, we placed it again. This time it took. It went on the lift, and the lift lifted, and it stayed put. It wasn't until we got moving that it came out the bottom of the ship. And so the lifts on the 300i's, as far as, I've never seen it happen with a commodity, but with delivery boxes, it's broken. You cannot use it. It's likely to drop your goods. At least it did ours. And so that's another one. So there's probably another 12, 13 critiques, bugs, and issues currently in 3.7. Again, guys, this is not a complaint list. It's a punch list that needs attention. All right, and we'll like, subscribe, share, and we'll see you in the next.